Hey,
Hey,
how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm super excited for our time together today. I think it's going to be really fun to talk a little bit about the Ignite event and what we're going to do with that and how you've been cultivating it and
Right.
the educational theme on day 2 that we've been planning and putting together. I think it'll be super fun.
Absolutely. Talk a little bit about how women are rocking it in real estate.
Yeah, I shared about last night at my meeting. JJ San Jose came to my meeting last night, who I haven't seen JJ in a long time. And so we talked a little bit about it at the meeting, the men event, and then you've got women, all women. I, of course, use the typical joke, which is, sorry, men, even if you wear a skirt, you can't get in. Right? This is a women's real estate network, so you guys are going to have to stay out. We do all female panels, right? All experts in the field.
I've been getting some pushback from Bill Tan about that, by the way. Bill,
love you, Bill. No,
you're not invited.
He might even look good in a skirt, but we still know it was him.
Right, absolutely. Hey, for those of the, WREN is actually expanded now. We're in 5 different chapters. So we're in LA, which a lot of people know you from LA. You're Phoebe, right. Pasadena. We're in Orange County. We're in Seattle. We're in Phoenix. We're in San Diego. Yay, yay, yay. We're looking to expand into more chapters. Let's we got the West Coast tied up. Let's move across now. But for those in other chapters that might not know about you, can you give them a little background? I mean, you've been in real estate for a long time. You're one of my mentors. You're somebody I trust when I need real estate advice, somebody I come to. But I'd love for them to hear more about you. So if you don't mind.
All right. So my usual shtick is I started investing in real estate 30 years ago, and I was about 2 weeks old. So, okay, no, I'm a little older than 30 and 2 weeks. Okay, I admit it. No, I did. I started investing in real estate over 30 years ago. It's now 33 years ago because I just had my 50th birthday. So I started when I was 17. Thank you. Yes, I love it. Every decade is better. If they don't get anything else out of this broadcast, right? Yes. Every decade as a woman is better. It gets more of who you are. You're better taking care of your family. You're better taking care of yourself. Your priorities are more clear. You're stronger in your being.
I've got to tell you, 50 for me was extremely liberating. I was like, you know what? Who am I trying to please? I'm 50. I'm going to do what I want.
I can live my life the way I've been wanting to ever since I was 2 weeks old.
Totally.
Well,
and it's so funny. I just saw this Jane Fonda HBO special, and she's talking about, like, I didn't really get to know myself until I was in my 60s. And I was like, what? There's more?
Really? That's exciting. That's exciting. I just had this guy presenting at my club last night. So Phoebe, Pasadena, right? We have the multifamily group, which is the first Wednesday, and we have the Phoebe, Pasadena group, which is the third Thursday, right? So we had a guy who's a multifamily investor, has been investing since like 1996 or something. And he was talking about his growth and how he started with $57,000 and now he's worth over $15 million.
Wow.
Dude, I love it. He's very low key. He's not like a big showman. He didn't do it by like taking lots of other people's money and doubling down and 3-year flips. And he just apartment buildings, underperformed, undermanaged, managed them well. We had other partners in it with him, 12% of this building, 15% of that building, 50% of this building. And he just did it the old-fashioned way, right? Just do it right. Start with an asset, grow the asset, reposition it by refinancing or selling. I love it. The good old-fashioned story of this is a marathon. Investing in real estate is a marathon, right? And you start 17 years old like I did, and you just keep doing it over and over and over and over, and you start developing your worth. And he's probably 65, 68. Oh, this is great. I mean, this is the purpose of real estate. So my background, sorry, I just got excited about West because every generation, right? Every decade gets better. So I've been investing for 30 years. I started in single family. My mom had really poor health when I was 17. She couldn't stay in the house. We were having 3rd-degree smog alerts in the San Gabriel Valley. So those of us old enough to remember 3rd-degree smog alerts. So she had to leave. So she literally titled the house over to me. So it was turned over into my name. I rented it out to my aunt and uncle, who were my godparents, and they bought it for me on an installment sale having to do with his Social Security and when it was going to pay out and it not affecting his Social Security. And I have no idea why that was the case. I was 17. I didn't know. I'm like, okay, you say so. That's probably the right way to do it if it works for you. Okay, let's do it. Right? And then I bought a condo for my brother because he bought it for, somebody that he wanted it for, and they weren't using it and they didn't want it. So he didn't want it anymore. So I bought a condo, and I put a Section 8 lady in there. I had it for 8 years. She raised her kids in that condo, paid her piece of the Section 8 rent ongoing. So I started in single family. And then I moved over to multi-units. When I finally had developed enough capital, I moved over into multi-units, bought a multi-unit in Van Nuys, my first one. I looked at 100 multi-units, literally 100 multi-units before I bought that one. Because I had to right? I've been doing single family residence while I was working as a childcare provider and a receptionist and a marketing lady, which I got fired from, thank you very much. And, right? And I was even like I worked 3 days at one of those call centers, and I walked out and went, I can't do this. And as I was walking out, the guy's like, your pride's gonna get you. And I'm like, I don't care, I'm gonna work it out without having to do cold calls, right? So I just had jobs, like regular jobs like people do. And then eventually I had enough capital. I went, I really need to take this seriously because I was now moving into my first multi-unit. I had over $500,000 that I was now moving in equity, right? Close to $1 million, just don't tell anybody. And I'm moving in, and I really needed to become a professional in real estate. So that's when I became a professional. So now I thought I was hot, SHIT. So I was buying in Hawaii, and I was buying in Texas, and I was buying in Knoxville, Tennessee, and Fairfax, Virginia, and Oregon. I was flipping. I was doing condo conversions. I had a couple different multi-units, so that's where I started, was that way. And then, the great downturn hit. Got married in September of 2000, for us women out there. Okay, so this is for the women. Got married in September of 2006. So what did my first year of marriage look like? Fighting all the time. I mean, he married me because I'm like this, rockin', wealthy real estate investor, got the world by his horns. Yeah, right. Until, everybody was losing it, including me.
Yeah,
until I didn't.
Until didn't.
So I sold everything. I froze. I literally froze for 6 months. I thought I'm a loser. I didn't know what I was doing. I need to leave real estate. I clearly have no clue what I'm up to. And then I remember sitting in my office, specifically sitting in the chair in my office that I share with my husband, going, I'm a freaking loser. I should just walk away. And then going, no, I can't. I won't respect myself when I'm 80 years old if I walk away now. I've got to sort it out. I've got to straighten this out. And I want to be a real estate investor. So I need to grow up, show up, and clean this the frick up, so that I can continue to do what I love doing and what I feel like I'm good at, even though right now it freaking sucks. So I sold everything. I sold every single unit. I was trying to get pregnant. Here I am, close to 40, trying to get pregnant, super stressed, lots of fighting, losing equity at the level of $100,000. Oh, freaking sucks. And I just went, no, I have to do this. So I took losses, and I created settlements. I tried to make people whole. I'm still paying on one of them, by the way. So I'm like, they so pissed me off in my trying to negotiate the settlement. I'm like, you could wait for my money. You just get it every single month. I could pay you off in full, buddy, but I'm not going to. Right? And I repositioned the whole thing into hard money loans so I could be less stressed, focus on getting pregnant, which I did eventually, as you know. My daughter's now 9, right? Mm-hmm. It's my why. Why do I do real estate investing? So I can have control over my time as a mom, really as a mom. Screw the working out. Yeah, I like working out. I love having my husband. Thank God he tolerates me. But really, it was so I could be a mom. That's my why. So I did hard money investing, and now I'm back into flipping and hard money investing in stocks and diversified portfolio and all that fun stuff.
Well, you know what? I think that it was really, apropos that we started out talking about real estate as a marathon, because Lord knows, Christina, you have run it. You have run more than one marathon in that in that journey. And you know what? It is a marathon. It is. You're in for the long haul. And I think you're in for the long haul because the benefits are so great, right? You have time freedoms, like I was listening to somebody play off the words of rich. Not only does he want to be rich, he wants to be time rich and energy rich. And, I think
that's right.
Great, and that's one of the things that real estate can really afford you, and you got this remarkable background and knowledge and education along the way. And I think that's one of the things that stops people from getting into action is making some mistakes. And here's the thing. In real estate, you're going to make mistakes. In real estate, there's going to be problems. And, instead of like really letting that stop you, start, like really thinking about becoming a creative problem solver, realizing that, there's no problem that goes without a solution or no problem that somebody else hasn't dealt with, right? Like,
yeah. And you have to. I mean, in my Phoebe meeting, right, I constantly talk about, do you need money to start in real estate? Or do you need education, experience, and a network? Because your network can help you find solutions you can't come up with.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I know I've called on my network so many times for that, and I'm happy to help when people call me and go, I don't know how to deal with this. Have you got any, have you dealt with this before? Yeah. Or I know somebody who's dealt with it,
Right.
like, I mean, and that's the wonderful thing. And you know what, I don't mean to say this in a negative way, but that is something women are great at. Us, we love to share resources. We love to help each other out, and that's kind of the community that we're fostering at WREN. It's a community that's fostering connection, resources, a little bit of attaboy, and, maybe a shoulder and a glass of wine every once in a while when you need it too.
And a conversation about how long it's been since we've worked out, how long has it been since we got our nails done, how long has it been since we got our eyebrows done. I don't mean to be silly. I'm not a big girly girl. I'm not. But it's like we sacrifice across the board to be the leaders in our communities that we are. We sacrifice our time, our self-care, our effort, our focus, our sleep. I got home at 1:30 last night. I was in bed at 2 because I had my meeting last night. So I got home at 1:30 last night, was in bed at 2. My daughter was up at 3:30, couldn't go back to sleep, fell back asleep at 4:30, and I got up at 7:30 this morning. Hi, welcome to my life.
I know, I hear you, and that's what we do. We put others before us. And that's the beautiful thing about us. And yet at that same time, that's the time you need a girlfriend. I've been through a pretty stressful week myself with my son was in a car accident. So I've been in and out of the hospital. He's out of the hospital. He's fine. But I'm talking to a girlfriend and she's like, hey, you need to breathe yesterday. She's like, you need to breathe. Do you want to you should go for a walk. You should, get a massage. You're worn out. And it's the stress and it's all kinds of different things. But, you need somebody to tell you it's okay. It's all okay. It's time for you to, what is that? When you're in an airplane, put the oxygen mask on yourself.
That's right.
And then put it on other people. So yeah, it's crazy, having to juggle so many things as a woman out there in business and real estate. It's the families. And yet the families are what I hear of most of the reason that we do it, right? Yeah. It's for our kids. I met this single mom who was, providing everything for her kids. And then I met this mom who was an at-home mom. And she said, you know what, I just want to be able to provide a really great vacation for our family every year, because my husband works so hard and I just really want to figure out a way to do that for us. And I just think that, that's what we do it. We do it because it's all heart and that's what we want to do. And you know what, that gives me a great reason to talk about Ignite. So we're having an event at the end of March 23rd in Studio City at the Sportsman's Lodge. And it's called Ignite Your Fire Within. And, it is kind of an overview of a lot of women who are doing a lot of different things in real estate, whether you're Christina's perfect example. She's done a lot of different things in real estate. So there's people like her, there's people who will specify our specialties in flipping or notes or buy and holds or storage units. I mean, women who are doing all kinds of different things. And it's a great event to not only get to, so that you can talk to these women and tell and find out how they're doing the things that they're doing, but you can actually connect and
love team. How else can I pick up my kid every day from school at 3 o'clock, run multiple flips in Pasadena, run my hard money portfolio, and run my stocks if I don't have a team. I just can't. I can't get abundant in my time unless I have a team. I'm looking to expand my market again. So I'm looking to switch over from Pasadena and take that money and switch over to maybe short-term rentals. So I flew out to meet a potential team in Indiana because I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to move to Indiana. I got my daughter in the right school for her. I'm not moving. Right? To make this really clear, Mama ain't moving because I got my daughter lined up, right? So I need a team in Indy. So I flew out on Friday night on a red eye, met my team on Saturday, flew home Sunday morning, was back in LA by 9 a.m. Sunday, right? Yeah. And I could meet with my team, I could look through the properties, and I could decide, is this the right place for me? And is this the right team for me?
How do you make those decisions? How do you make those decisions, Christina? How do you, what are you basing those decisions off of? Just out of curiosity, give us a tip, because I know, like for me, it's a combination of things. So tell me how you do it.
Sure, absolutely. It's history. Do they have a history in what they're doing? Right. It is, can they talk real? Right? Like I walk around in Detroit and I've got this guy and I love this guy and I really would use him. But he's like, oh yeah, my crew could do that for, $30,000. I'm like, excuse me, I am a flipper. I do know how much it takes to flip a house. That ain't no $30,000, dude. Even in Detroit, this ain't $30,000. But I'm talking to this guy and he's like, no. He says, we can do this, this, and this, and this, but it's going to be $50,000. And he knows his scope of work. He's describing it to me as we walk around. I know he knows what he's talking about. And so when he gives me that number, I go, he's done the same scope of work I would have expected. He's talking about repairing the things that are obvious to me that need to be repaired. And he's giving me a solid number that I can believe, right? So it's integrity. Will he hold to his number? Part of that is the experience. Like I can reference people he's worked with in the past. That's part of why I picked this guy. And the way they hold themselves. I mean, it's just like, does this dude or gal know what she's doing or do they not? Right? And maybe that comes with a little bit of experience, right? Being able to feel the tone between a salesman and somebody who's authentic in their communication. Yeah. But I'm really into integrity, trust, and authenticity. And if they're blowing smoke, I'm like, no, don't blow smoke. Sometimes I have to talk people out of their blowing smoke mode. And sometimes I can do that and get them detail oriented. So I heard your number's 30. What do you think you'd cover in that 30? And can they break it down? When you ask them to show their expertise, do they step into that moment of showing their expertise? And if they do, great, because I know they have the confidence and the experience and the knowledge to do that. And if they don't, if they start backpedaling and starting saying the same thing again, I'm like, maybe you do know what you're doing, but maybe you don't. But if you can't bring it to me authentically, I can't be sure I'm going to be safe. And my job as the care provider for my daughter is to make sure that my assets stay safe and grow. Yeah. So I can't, you might be a nice guy, but I can't do that.
Right. I think those are great tips, and I've actually listened to you speak too about, managing a manager. And honestly, I've taken a lot of your tips and put them into play. You've got to train your managers about what it is your expectations are. Yeah. And it's the same thing with teams. You have to know who's doing what functions and what the timeline expectation is, what the expectation is on how the job's going to get done, what the budget expectation is. I mean, all that has to be discussed. And fortunately, as women, we're really good at talking.
We are really good at talking, and I mean, training of the team starts with, so are we going to do a joint venture? Are we going to do a contract? Are we going to do a management agreement? Like being clear and discussing that, not just saying, hey, yeah, let's do it, but saying, that's great. What structure are we going to put it under? Like, again, asking that question and sussing it out starts to develop the relationship and the way the team is going to work. That you're going to ask the questions from the beginning, not in a mean way, but in an accountable way. Like the difference between women and men. Women, we want to talk relationship and we want to talk how we're going to structure that relationship. Men want to talk about, well, how is this going to function? Right? And so you can have that how's it going to function talk with both women and men. It just happens in a different way. Yeah. So men, you don't have to say, gee, does this feel good? How's your kid? Although they do like that, by the way. They just don't tell you, but they do. They like when you ask after the kid. I can't tell you how many contractors do, here, let me show you the photo of my daughter doing gymnastics. Your guy does gymnastics, let's talk about it. I'm like, that's cool. But then when I ask him to be professional in his job and to break down his scope of work, guys who are professionals and then are like, yeah, let me do that for you. Let's talk about the scope of work. So really, lady, this is what we need to get done. And I'm like, that's good. I'm glad you know what you're going to do. Break it down fundamental and ask them to do that for you, and then respond in kind.
Right.
Break it down fundamental so that you guys are making a fundamental contract verbally, and then you make it written.
Yeah, I think that's the best thing to do. Thank you so much for sharing those tips for us. Now, I'm just going to segue because I've asked you to do something very special for our WREN members. So WREN members, if you're out there, listen up. And if you aren't a WREN member and you want to hear more about what she's going to do for us, you can direct message me afterwards. But our WREN members had been coming to us and saying, we want more meat. We want more meat and potatoes, which I just love that they, are vocalizing themselves that way. And so we've decided to add a day 2 to Ignite. And it's a very limited seating. It's only 30 people that are going to be able to get seated into our day 2. And that is going to start off with you, Christina, because you are going to talk about what do you need to do to build your portfolio? What is it that you're really shooting for? So tell everybody a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it's I call it the investor profile. So if you're looking for the title is called investor profile. That's what I call it. Basically, it was the shiny object problem. So many new investors, even investors that are repositioning themselves, get a shiny object problem. Right? It's like, oh, that looks good. Maybe I'll be a flipper. Maybe I'll be a wholesaler. Maybe I'll do it all. Maybe I'll be a flipper and a wholesaler, since those two go so well together. Maybe I'll, do investments in syndications. Maybe I'll do storage units. Maybe I'll do single family. It's like, dude or dudette, you can't do all of those things. So let's focus you. Let's ground you, not in just real estate, but in yourself. Because ultimately, whether you like it or not, you are the one designing your portfolio. And ultimately, you are the one that has to sleep with it at night. I'm sorry, right?
Yes, it's true. And my portfolio and my desired outcomes are not the same as someone else's. I'm of a certain age. If you're young and raising your family, you might have totally different outcomes, right? No two outcomes are the same.
And so therefore, because you laid the groundwork perfectly. Thank you. We start with where you are. We start with what your desired goals are. We lay them out in concrete detail. So this is not like a, gee, wouldn't that be nice? This is the moon I want to land on, right? We break it down into actual, like, here's what's going to cost for me to live on that moon, right? Here's where I'm starting. Then you get an earnings goal. That earning goal starts to define what asset classes are appropriate for you to participate with. When you have the earning goals, you say, but what asset classes do I want to participate in? Do I have a full-time job and I need to participate in syndications or multi-units with property managers? Or do I not have a full-time job and I want to become a syndicator? I want to become a flipper. I want to do these things. Where do I start now and how do I get there while meeting my retirement earning goals? So we take the 4 puzzle pieces and we put them together and we go, there's your 20-year plan. That's where you want to be. That's the moon you want to land on. Here's where you can start over here, because now we know what trajectory do you want to progress on. Now, are you going to become a flipper who then becomes an investor who then does buy and hold while you're doing wholesaling and flipping? Yeah, maybe. Maybe that's your 20-year plan, right? But if we just did flipping, I have no flippers who, I'll get into flipping, and I'm going to do flipping. And I'm like, they're 15 years in or 10 years in. I'm like, I'm getting tired. I'm like, well, did you create a portfolio, a passive portfolio to protect you so that when you're tired and ready to retire, that you have that choice? Or are you going to start building it now?
Right. And on the flip side, there's those people who are, employed, love their jobs, they're getting the income, they want to build their buy and hold portfolio. And then they go, oh, wait, I'm at the max in my loans, or I'm out of capital. Now what do I do? Right. So you got to readjust,
Yeah. And then know that's available to you.
Yeah.
I mean, and it is available to you. That's the conversation we can have. And since there's only 30, I'll be able to personalize the conversation while I'm walking around saying, okay, so here's the one you want to land on. So how are you going to get there? What's you? Who are you in this scenario? And where do you want to play? How do you want to participate? Because that's where you get the most power, is when you do you. Don't let the portfolio define for you. You define for the portfolio who the you is going to be in this. Then you can go to sleep every night knowing that you're going to like where you're going.
Right, because it's all about tailored to what it is you want. So that's wonderful. So you're going to start off that day, and then we're going to have Iris Veneration talk about running numbers and how do you make a good offer on a deal. She's going to talk about calculating ARVs, and Kathy Fetke is going to talk about running numbers for buy and holds and how to acquire financing. So, you know, Christina, you are going to be setting the tone for that day, and I'm just so thankful it's going to be you because you're just so wonderful at this. And that whole day is going to be all the meat and potatoes anybody really going to need to go forward.
Here's the thing, though. You got to make sure that you include that people know they need to become a WREN member to be invited to the extra day. Because I was talking to somebody and they're like, oh, there's this extra day? I didn't know. I signed up for it. Did I sign up for the extra day? I'm like, why, are you a WREN member? Because you have to be a WREN member to actually get the invite to the extra day, to be able to dig into that meat and potatoes, to create your 20-year plan, to learn your basic due diligence, to understand how you can both be a passive investor or an active investor, and making that choice, because we're going to educate you in all three.
Right, and the education is the aspect, and then being part of the WREN membership is part about building your team and your network, which is just that other, you know, that other part that you need in becoming a successful real estate investor.
You absolutely need it. You absolutely need to have your team.
So anybody who's listening out there that wants more information, please just direct message me or put it in the comments right here. Christina, I can't thank you enough for coming on and helping me talk about WREN and ignite your fire within. So ignite your fire.
What's the website?
IgniteYourFireWithin.com is
I'm putting in here so that people can find it.
Good.
IgniteYourFireWithin.com.
And then you can always go to WREN Inspires, but that's also on this page. So thank you so much, and you know, we'll be bringing you more people. Iris is going to be on one of our Facebook Lives, and so is Kathy. So if you're interested in day 2, and so are some of our other wonderful speakers that are showing up at the Ignite event. So thank you so much again, Christina, and thanks everybody for listening. Thanks.
Thank you, Deborah. So looking forward to it.